Gear systems, we love them, don't we? We love grinding day and night for the best echo possible. We love grinding week on end for the best relics. We love
gear systems.
Gear systems are some of the most important things when playing a gacha game, for a gear system is what's going to enable your character to reach their higher potential. Gear systems is what's going to enable your main characters to perform the best on the battlefield. Different gacha games have different gear systems. Wuthering Waves has the echo farming system, while games like the Hoyo games have the relic system such as HSR and Genshin Impact. But Silver Palace doesn't have one singular gear system. Heck, it doesn't even have two. My fellow flames, Silver Palace has 3 different gear systems currently confirmed to be releasing when the game goes live, whenever the hell the game goes live, and I'm going to be explaining what these gear systems are. So, if this is helpful and you understand the gear systems perfectly after watching this video, leave a like and comment down below and subscribe if you are new. It helps me out a lot and I will appreciate it for the rest of my living days. So in Silver Palace, there are many different gear systems to go over and cover, and I'm going to do my best to break them down for you in today's video, starting with something called the reactor system. Now, what the reactor system is essentially the Demon Wedge system from Duet Night Abyss. If you guys don't know what the Duet Night Abyss Demon Wedge system is, essentially you complete missions and you complete stages in Duet Night Abyss and you'll get something called a Demon Wedge. A Demon Wedge can be applied to both weapons and characters, giving you an edge in battle. And that is essentially what the reactor system is. Each reactor has a different cost and value. As you can see, there is a power limit. You cannot exceed that power limit. If you do, you're going to have to scrap all the reactors you've equipped and start again. Each reactor has a value. As you can see, I can restore this reactor and it goes from 7 to 3, telling me that this particular reactor is worth 4. But there are many different reactors that are worth many different things, many different rarities of reactors, and each reactor has an elemental factor. Now, that is something that's pretty basic. It's pretty easy to establish which one you're going to be putting on each character. That's one of the gear systems, the reactor system. It's a pretty decent system, pretty straightforward. You have to mix and match with different characters to synergize your teams to give them the best edge possible in battle. Also, one more thing that's very self-explanatory, but I'm going to say it anyway. This volcanic reactor is specific for fire or ignis characters like Cinderella. They will have near enough next to no effect on an electric character or any other type of character, but that's the reactor system. It's simple, it's standard, it's self-explanatory, and it gives your characters an edge in battle. So now that we've got the reactor system out of the way, these 2 systems I'm going to be breaking down for you now are what you're going to mainly be focusing on when building characters, your epiphanies and your attribute sets. So let me explain how the attribute sets work. So attribute sets is just like any other set in any other gacha game. You get 4 pieces of the set, then you get the entire set effect. For instance, this is the Embers and Flame set. This is going to be the bread and butter, the important set for Cinderella, because Cinderella, of course, scales off of crit rate. So this is going to be the crit rate set, giving her bonuses to her crit rate. You want as much crit rate as possible, Cinderella. The more crit rate she has, the more her damage scales. She does like crit damage as well, but it mainly is a crit rate set build. Attribute sets come in different rarities: white, green, blue, purple, and gold. Each one, when you acquire them, is already at max level. You don't need to level them up. You don't need to get certain materials like tubes or anything like that to get them to the max level. When you acquire one, it's always going to be at max level. For instance, the white here are at 20. If you come down here, you can get 40, you can get 60, you can get green 20s, 40s, 60s, etc. But they're always going to be at max level when you acquire that version or that piece of gear. The only thing that changes with rarity are the substat values, and what I mean by that is if you have a green level 60 of the death is now the Phoenix Nest. As you can see, the attack percentage is 3.09, the damage bonus is 1.93, HP percentage is 1.54. But if I get a level 60 version of the purple, it just goes up 6.1, it goes up to 3.86, it goes up to 3.09. That's the only thing that changes. The higher the rarity, the higher the value, the substats, but the substats themselves are always going to be exactly the same for that set. I think it's safe to say that Silver Palace is onto something quite positive and something quite big and something that I think is very, very good in terms of a gear system. I like the fact that whatever gear you're going to be getting, it's going to be relative to your level, which means it's going to be at the maximum level it can possibly be at that time, which means you don't have to farm materials to level them up. I think that's a positive. I think that is a positive. I like the fact that substats, depending on what set you get, are always going to be the same. The only thing that changes is the value of these substats, the increased rarity of item you get in that set. I think that's a very good system, and I think Silver Palace needs to be praised for this system because I think it's a very good system to have in their game. It's not going to require you to grind hours upon hours upon hours on end. It's not going to require you to get multiple dupes of the same set piece and re-roll for substats. I like the fact that it's in this way and it's structured in this way. This now brings us to the Epiphanies. This is the piece of gear that is going to require a little bit of grinding from you. However, it's a little bit different to what you're used to in other gacha games. You're not going to be grinding for tubes. You're not going to be grinding for materials to level these up. You are simply going to be grinding for duplicates of these Epiphanies. Now, the Epiphanies is going to be the main piece of gear you're going to be going for. The Epiphanies is the equivalent to that of a 4-cost Echo. It's the main slot piece of equipment you're going to be grinding for. Each Epiphany you acquire is going to have 2 distinctive factors. Each Epiphany is going to have their own set of substats, and each Epiphany is going to have their own Epiphany effect. This one, which is the Cinderella Epiphany, is going to increase the holder's basic attack damage by 80%. When their crit rate exceeds 100%, each 1% over that 100% grants an additional 0.8% in attack. So when I was saying earlier that Cinderella scales off of crit rate, the Cinderella Epiphany obviously is going to cater towards the Cinderella 5-star character. Each Epiphany is going to cater to a certain character. Each Epiphany has different effects, different substats, is based off of a different book, fairy tale, novel, etc, etc. So this is where the grinding comes into it. You're not going to be grinding for materials to be going into your substats. You're not going to be grinding for materials to upgrade the level of your Epiphany because, like the attribute sets, whenever you get an Epiphany, it's always going to be the maximum level possible at that present moment in time. So if the maximum character you have is level 60, the Epiphany you get is going to be level 60. It's going to rival your character's level. So if your character then exceeds level 60, then you're going to have to get another Epiphany that's going to be level 70 or level 80. So the question is this: how do I upgrade the substats? Well, as you can see here, if I go to perfection, you're going to be able to see like a flower symbol, like a flower next to crit rate, crit damage, and damage bonus. Now, the only way you can upgrade these isn't by grinding for materials. It's not grinding for another material to feed into this piece of gear to upgrade its substats. You're just going to be grinding for duplicates. You're going to be grinding for duplicates, which means you're going to want another Cinderella to go into this Cinderella to upgrade one random substat. So if I was to get another Cinderella book, or many of the Cinderella books, and I wanted to increase these substats, I would then just feed them all into this one. I would feed those duplicates into this one, and per one duplicate is going to randomly upgrade one of these substats. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, does that mean that if I get really bad rolls, it means I'm going to upgrade one substat and the other one that I wanted upgraded won't be upgraded? No. You're going to be able to infinitely upgrade your Epiphanies until every single substat is maximized. You're going to be able to maximum every single substat in your Epiphanies. The grinding is getting the duplicates. The grinding mechanic is getting the duplicates for your Epiphanies. So, how do you get Epiphanies? Well, there's 2 main ways to acquire Epiphanies in Silver Palace. The earliest way to acquire Epiphanies is eventually you're going to be able to unlock these icons around the map. These are boss icons that are going to be able to drop you different kinds of Epiphanies depending on which boss you're fighting. For instance, this is the Wolf King's Hunt, and this is going to be giving me the Cinderella, or at least there's a chance to drop the Cinderella alongside others like Until Death Do Us Part, the Morgue Street Murder, Death of a Clerk, and it's also going to be able to have a chance of dropping you a random Epiphany. This is also going to be the set of the Embers and Flames for Cinderella. So the second and arguably the most important way to acquire epiphanies is by unlocking the Hilbert's Hotel. So once you unlock Hilbert's Hotel by getting far enough into the story, you're going to be able to play through the game mode and acquire these things, the Fate clippings. This is the currency that's going to enable you to purchase epiphanies straight from the exchange shop. Now each level is going to give you a chance to drop a random epiphany, but these are what you're going to be grinding for, the Fate clippings, because when you have enough Fate clippings, you're going to be able to go to the exchange shop. If I go to the Argent Docks, and you're going to go to the Epiphany archives, and as you can see, every single epiphany, beginner readers and literary works are going to be available for you to purchase when you have 1,000 of these clippings. Another part of the epiphany upgrading system is the ink. You've got two kinds of ink, the custom ink, and you've also got the sketch ink. I will show you exactly what the ink does. For example, I'll come over here to Ashley's gear sets, I'll come over to her epiphany, I'll go to perfection. Obviously this is where you feed the dupes in, but then you come to the addendum, and the addendum is going to give you an additional skill, passive skill on your epiphany. As you can see, I've already done a targeted addendum where you select the character. For instance, I'm selecting Cinderella, and I've got one of these custom inks and one of these sketch inks. You need one of each to do this, to do the targeted one specifically. To get the normal addendum, which is a random upgrade skill, it's just one of the sketch ink. To get a targeted addendum is to click on this, click the character you want to focus the addendum on, have one of the custom inks and one on the sketch inks, rewrite addendum, and then it's going to get you an addendum. Now here's the thing, you might get something completely different, so then now you can choose which addendum you want to pick. So I already had an addendum, I already had a targeted addendum on my epiphany. I had the Ashley skill level is +1, but what I can now do, because I've just put another addendum in, I can either keep the same one here, or I can upgrade to this addendum, which is Ashley's tactical assault level is increased by 2, or I can keep the Ashley skill level 1 increase. So in this case, I focus a lot of Cinderella's skills and I focus a lot on Cinderella's ultimate. So I'm actually going to keep the Ashley enhancement of the Ashley skill is increased by 1. Then it just keeps the targeted skill that you've got. It keeps the targeted addendum that you've got on there. But you can keep doing this, and the way you get inks is by salvage. So any pieces of the sets that you don't want, so any piece of attribute set you don't want, you basically salvage it, you get the currency for you to buy the ink in the shop. So that's how the gear system works. That's how you acquire the gear, that's how you grind for the gear. But I think this gear system has a lot of potential, and I think there is something really special here, and I'm really enjoying grinding for my epiphanies, grinding for my attribute sets. I'm also now getting used to the epiphany ink system. I'm also getting used to grinding certain parts of the end game to get certain epiphanies, and I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised and pleasantly satisfied with this gear system when you get your hands on this game yourself, if you haven't been able to get into the beta. But that's going to be breaking down the gear system, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed what I had to say. I'm sure there's people out there that break it down way better than what I do, but this is essentially how the gear system works. Thank you for watching. I will speak to you all in the next video. Take it easy and have a good rest of your day.